What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. My name is John Plumley. You can all call me Jack. Before we get into it, I recommend you watching this at 1.5x or 2x the speed. That's right, speed up this video here. That's how I watch any YouTube video for educational purposes. I always watch them at faster speed. It's how I listen to podcasts as well. It allows you to learn faster. So I recommend you do that always when watching my videos. With that aside, let's get into the video today. We're going to be covering Redwood Materials and ABML, American Battery Metals Stock. Both of these are battery recycling companies. One is publicly traded. The other, Redwood Materials, which what we're going to be focusing on mainly, is not a publicly traded company. It likely will be. There's no official talk about an IPO or anything like that, but this is one company to follow and to have on your radar as a future amazing stock opportunity to buy. And you can buy ABML stock currently if you want to get exposure to what I predict and a lot of people predict is going to be a huge industry, which is battery material recycling. So with all that said, let's get into the video. So Redwood Materials, this company was founded by J.B. Straubel, who was a co-founder of Tesla, and one of my favorite books, Elon Musk's biography. It details the early days of Tesla and talks a little bit about J.B. Straubel. So I've been familiar with this guy, and I watched this CNBC documentary on Redwood Materials, which is where I first learned about this company, and it seems very promising. J.B. Straubel being involved with Tesla in the early days and for a long time. He was one of the creators of the battery technologies. He was very hands-on and developed a lot of the innovative technology in Teslas, and so he saw firsthand the scale at which batteries and electric vehicles was growing and is growing. He could get a clear sense, just as much as an Elon Musk knows, the scale at which electric vehicles are going to increase to, therefore the scale at which batteries are increasing to. And so with that perspective, he also saw the scale at which these batteries are going to need to be dealt with somehow and could be recycled to reuse the minerals in batteries to continue creating more batteries, which the need for that will only increase. So he could see all this, and he also noticed that there was a lack of companies and people trying to solve this problem and working to create a foundation of battery recycling. And so now he is tackling that problem, linking the end-of-life battery back into the supply chain, right? Bringing the materials back into the production process instead of creating a battery, mining for all the minerals, then creating the battery, and then that battery just dies, it sees its end of life, then it goes in a landfill or something, and then just continuing to mine for more minerals to create batteries. Doesn't make sense. He realized that you could get these end-of-life batteries, and then get their materials back into the production process and, create the recycling, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle, create the loop of recycling. So it's really the supply for minerals what poses the greatest risk in the near future for potential bottlenecks that could occur in the scale up of electric vehicles. So the minerals for batteries really poses the greatest risk for bottlenecks in the production process of electric vehicles and really all technologies that involve batteries in general. Also, the cost of electric vehicles is mainly due a lot to battery costs, right? So if demand increases, which it will, of course, for batteries and for electric vehicles, the burden, the demand of these minerals will increase as well, and that could actually prevent costs from lowering. So that could prevent electric vehicles from lowering their costs over time, because the strain on the minerals for batteries could continue and could just prevent costs from being driven down, which is what you need to get new technologies at scale, is the costs need to be driven down. And reusing materials from recycled batteries can actually assist in lowering battery costs, or at least to help alleviate potential bottlenecks, which helps to drive costs down as well, or at least prevent them from actually raising costs over time. So it can at least maintain the current cost, or maintain the lowering of costs of electric vehicles by preventing these bottlenecks, by keeping these minerals in the supply chain and not having to only rely on new minerals being mined from the earth. Some stats I've seen, some predictions I've seen out there online is a $20 billion lithium battery recycling market by 2030. That might be an underestimation. Normally when you see any sort of predictions for the future of electric vehicles, they always seem very conservative in my opinion, and quite low. And I would assume that these predictions I've seen for lithium battery recycling to be conservative and low as well. But with that said, $20 billion is still a large market by 2030. I do expect it to be much larger than that still. Recycling is already profitable today as well, battery recycling. And as cost competitive to do so, as is actually mining for new materials. And that's pretty impressive, because mining has decades of innovation behind it, and all this time for mining to cut production costs and to become as efficient as possible. And considering that battery recycling is as cost competitive to mining for new products, or for new minerals and materials, is very interesting, because recycling is a relatively new industry and hasn't had the amount of time to innovate and to make their processes more efficient compared to actually mining. So it seems like a lot of the innovation in mining has already taken place, whereas with recycling, the innovation is yet to come. So it's going to become more efficient and probably going to be much cheaper to get minerals from recycled batteries than will be to actually go ahead and mine for new minerals. That's extremely good for the environment. Okay, so that means that going forward, our demand for batteries will increase like crazy. We aren't going to need to tear up the entire earth just searching for minerals. We'll be able to recycle the vast amount of minerals that we've already mined and put into batteries already. So that will decrease the demand for new mining operations, and hopefully it would be nice if it could even allow current mining operations to scale back a little bit as well. And so JB Straubel predicts that recycling can surpass mining in terms of production as well. And he's a very, very, very smart person. I definitely trust his intuition and his predictions. What's also interesting is within North America, as example, we don't get minerals from North America, at least that much. There's some graphite mining being done in Canada, but for the most part, North American car manufacturers like Tesla, like perhaps Lucid, or other new companies that will start producing vehicles in North America, are reliant on overseas, mainly China. China we get a lot of minerals from. There's lots of mines in Africa, South America. If any political issues arise in the future, it could become actually harder from that perspective too to get minerals, and more expensive for electric vehicle producers as well. And so just having that in North America, being able to recycle batteries here, could decrease the need to rely on other countries to get minerals. Just recycling the batteries that are already here keeps that process in-house. Another factor to potentially driving costs down and to avoiding bottlenecks when scaling electric vehicles. And currently, I believe this is globally, I'm not too sure about these numbers, but I have here 1 to 2% of what the current battery production is being recycled. So what that means is that only 1 to 2% of the current battery production, so out of all the batteries that are being produced, only about 1 to 2% equivalent to that is what the recycling is being done with, if that makes sense. So there is a need to ramp up recycling capacities so that the future needs for recycling these batteries doesn't get out of control, right? So 10 years from now, or 20 years, whatever the lifespan of a battery is, I'm not too sure on that actually. But again, this is why I am researching these things so that I arm myself with knowledge. But let's say, a decade goes by and there's so much more batteries that will need to be recycled because our current battery production is insane and only growing. So battery recycling will have this tremendous need to ramp up their production in general to meet that future demand of battery recycling. So these companies involved in battery recycling have so much room to grow, which is huge from an investor's perspective. So really on that subject of investing, Redwood Materials seems like probably, in my opinion, the most promising battery recycling company. They're partnered with they're partnered with Panasonic, which supplies Tesla with batteries, Envision, AESC, aka Nissan Leaf batteries. So that's who they recycle Nissan Leaf batteries with. And this is pretty big, they're partnered with Amazon as well for consumer goods batteries. All of these partnerships gives Redwood Materials access to lots of battery materials to recycle. And I think that Amazon partnership is huge, as they're obviously a behemoth of a company, and they are also ramping up electric vehicles in their delivery systems as well. And just beyond that, there's so much electronics with Amazon, so that gives them access to recycling batteries from consumer goods like phones, laptops, just regular batteries and all that sort of stuff. Some potential cons and downsides is you can read on the potential negatives about the way Redwood actually recycles batteries and how it is apparently very toxic. And then the other con as well, just from an investor's point of view, is that you can't actually invest in Redwood Materials. And I haven't been able to find any exact talk about an IPO or anything like that. But this is a stock or a company to keep on your radar. If they were publicly traded, this would be an amazing investment because the profitability of companies like Redwood is only going to grow going forward. I have a quote of Elon Musk here on Battery Day, said that in the future, all new batteries will be made from recycled batteries because it's 10% the cost. Recycling batteries definitely have the potential to be hugely profitable. Now, there are other companies that are in the battery recycling arena, and one is ABML, so American Battery Metals, and they had a really big run up if you look at their chart. This was a pretty hyped up penny stock, very speculative. Since its all-time highs, it's sort of evened out a little bit over the last month and is trading at a much more, realistic valuation in my point of view. One that, it's a penny stock. It's speculative, but there is ex-Tesla team members working with ABML now, and I believe they have a different approach to actually recycling the materials than Redwood is having, where Redwood, they incinerate the material. The research that I have done is that they're using different recycling methods, and so just in general, from an investing point of view, it is good to have that diversification with different types of battery recycling methods. Therefore, if one proves to be more efficient, you have exposure to the one that is is going to be used more in production. So having exposure to like both these companies would be fantastic. So keep your eye out for Redwood to become publicly traded. And right now, ABML is a very great option. It is a very affordable stock, being a penny stock, and this is a very long-term play. Like we're looking 2030 to see these battery recycling companies become far more important. But even as it sits, they have revenue potential just with the small scale of battery recycling now. And so going forward, that scale is only going to increase, and these make very good investments. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it if you like as well. Leave a comment below if you have any thoughts on either of these companies or other battery recycling or battery related companies in general. I know there's a lot of, there's a whole spectrum of battery related exposure you can get in your stock portfolio. There's mining, there's battery recycling, there's the electric vehicle stocks themselves. There's this huge array of ways to expose yourself to this growing industry, and it's all very exciting stuff. I think these are all going to be huge. And as always, thanks for watching the video. Until next time, take care.